Hey guys, Aruj here, and today we're talking about meiosis, or a type of cell division that results in 4 gametes. Before we get into that, I want to review this picture that I showed with you guys. It's of me and my 2 other brothers. And earlier in class when I showed it to you, a lot of students were able to, just guess or assume that these other 2 individuals were my siblings. And you guys were able to guess that because we share common features or common traits. Without me telling you anything else about them. If you notice though, we're very similar. We have similar features, but we're not completely identical. So for example, this isn't a picture of my other 2 brothers. We all have very different traits. Now, when you're looking at biology, everything that occurs, if we were to get a big picture on what biology is, everything has a purpose, and every purpose revolves around 2 concepts. And those concepts are, why does something help an organism survive? Okay, why does that help an organism not die off? And number 2 is, why does this help, or how does this help an individual reproduce? Okay, so everything goes back to survival and reproduction, okay? Because if a species no longer reproduces, then eventually that species is going to die off, okay? So everything that happens revolves around those 2 concepts. Number 1, survival, and number 2, reproduction. So how does me and my brothers, or you and your siblings, how does your variation in traits lead to survival and reproduction? Well, if we take a look at this image right here, if me and my brothers were just clones, or if everyone in the world was just clones, then we would all share the same traits. We'd all have the same features. We would have the same strengths, but also we would have the same weaknesses. If we share the same weaknesses, then that's not good, because that means we all have the same predispositions. We all have the same vulnerabilities, okay? So if a disaster occurs, and that disaster, takes us out, then that's not going to help our ability to survive and reproduce. If we all have different characteristics though, and we all have different traits, then that means we're all going to have different strengths, and we're all going to have different weaknesses. So if there is a disaster, there is still a likelihood that someone would be able to survive and reproduce, okay? So variation is a good thing. We want variation in a population. And what meiosis is it's, how did we get that variation? How did we end up all genetically different? And how did we end up with different traits? Okay. So if we look at mitosis, we started off with 1 cell that had 46 chromosomes. Meiosis was 1 cell with 46 chromosomes. And remember, these are somatic cells, or cells of your body. Okay. And through mitosis, that cell is going to divide, and we're going to end up with 2 daughter cells, and each one's going to have 46 chromosomes as well. So let me show you how that works out. Remember, in the cell cycle, during synthesis of interphase, the chromosomes are duplicated. Okay, so we get another copy. Even though this is 2 copies of 1 chromosome, it's still considered 1 chromosome because they're attached. When those split apart, each daughter cell has 1 individual copy of the chromosome. Okay, that's mitosis. When we look at meiosis, on the other hand, this is the formation of gametes, or sex cells. Okay, during meiosis, we're going to have 1 cell with 46 chromosomes, and that's going to split into 2 with 23 chromosomes. Those 2 cells are going to go through cell division again and create 4 cells with 23 chromosomes, okay? So why do we have to have this reduction in number? Why do we have to have these gametes, or why do we have to have these sex cells with 23 chromosomes? Well, if you remember, we went over in class that to make a human, you have to have 46 chromosomes, okay? So if gametes had 46 chromosomes themselves, okay, if that was a sperm cell, then we combine that with an egg cell, and each one had 46 chromosomes. That would give us a cell with 92 chromosomes, okay? That would give us 92. That's twice as many, okay? That would make a cell with an abnormal amount of chromosomes. and that wouldn't be viable. That cell would die off, okay, if it ever got fertilized. In meiosis, on the other hand, we get 4 gametes, 4 sex cells, and each one has 23 chromosomes each, okay? Those will all become their own sex cell. Now, if we get a sperm and an egg with 23 chromosomes each, when they fuse together, that would give us one cell with 46, okay? So in meiosis, we have to end up with our gametes to have 23 chromosomes each. To compare and contrast, mitosis, we have 2 identical somatic cells, or cells of your body, which are diploid. And if you remember, diploid is shown as 2N, okay? In meiosis, on the other hand, we're going to have 4 different gametes, okay, so they're all going to be genetically different, that are haploid. And haploid is shown as just N, okay? So meiosis is 2 cell divisions, and it's going to be called meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, with only 1 duplication of each chromosome, okay? In meiosis, we're going to go from a diploid cell, which is 2N, we're going to end up with 4 haploids, which are just N, or only 23 chromosomes each, okay? If meiosis didn't occur, then when a sperm hits the egg, that would make a zygote with too many chromosomes, and that would not be viable, okay? So when we're looking at meiosis, the cell's going to go through interphase, same as it would as mitosis, okay? So we have interphase. It's going to go through G1, where the cell grows. It's going to have a high protein production. It's going to go through S phase, where DNA is replicated. It's going to go through G2, where we get another centrosome, and the cell's going to grow a little more. And now we start prophase. Now, since this cell is going to go through cell division twice, everything's going to have a number with it. So it's going to be prophase 1, and then it's going to go to metaphase 1, and then anaphase 1, okay? You guys will see in just a second. So first we go to prophase 1. So far, 1 through 3 shows everything happens just like mitosis. Chromatids pair up. We have the nucleus, the nuclear membrane starts to break down. Centrosomes start to move to opposite ends. But now, number 4 and 5, this is new stuff that's happening in meiosis. So we have the homologous chromosomes. They form what's called a tetrad, okay? So this right here, this would be considered one tetrad, and this would be another tetrad, okay? The non-sister chromatids, they're going to exchange DNA in a process called crossing over. So what they're doing is they're actually going to fuse together, and they're going to bond so tightly that they're actually going to exchange sections of each other, or genes, okay? So once crossing over is completed, each chromosome, okay, or each of these chromatids, they have new genetics. They have new traits, okay? This is called genetic recombination, okay? When we go into metaphase 1, watch how this is slightly different than metaphase and mitosis, okay? We have the tetrads that are lining up in the middle instead of as a single file line, okay? Because remember, in mitosis, the chromosomes lined up straight down the middle. In meiosis, the tetrads are going to go to the middle. Spindle fibers attach. We go to anaphase 1. Homologous chromosomes. Those whole chromosomes are pulled apart as the cell elongates. Telophase 1 and cytokinesis 1. This is going to be pretty much the same as mitosis, okay? We're going to end up with 2 different cells. If you look at the nucleus, each one has a different combination of DNA, okay? Now, just like your favorite movie, we go to the sequel, prophase 2, okay? Prophase 2. For here on out, everything is pretty much the same as mitosis, okay? Except now we have 2 cells. The nuclear membrane breaks down. They form chromatids. Chromosomes meet in the middle. Spindle fibers attach. Anaphase. Chromatids are pulled apart. Telophase 2 and cytokinesis 2. We have 4 nuclei. And again, if you look at the chromosomes or the chromatins, they're all genetically different. They all have a different combination of genes, and then those 4 cells will become different gametes or 4 different sex cells. Okay.